Hey guys, today we're making the green salad from the Wishbone Kitchen Cookbook. The recipe calls for thyme, shallots, little gem lettuce, frisee but we use endive instead, microgreens, Dijon mustard, white wine vinegar, honey, and extra virgin olive oil, salt and pepper not pictured. It doesn't actually call for garlic, that will come later. Okay, the shallots from Whole Foods were moldy and really gross, so we used yellow onion instead, and I just tried to chop them up finely and use, I guess, about what I expected from one shallot. Also, here's some onion skin that I got in there. Got it out before I added. Anyway, finely chop, add to the bowl. And then we'll work on the dressing. So it's 2/3 cup extra virgin olive oil. In the cookbook, she actually has a really nice section on how to find a good olive oil. And then it's 1/3 cup white wine vinegar or champagne vinegar. 1 tablespoon of Dijon mustard. And then 1 tablespoon of honey. Whenever I measure out honey, I try to have something in the measuring spoon before the honey so it kind of slides out easier. Okay, then it's a teaspoon of fresh thyme, a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, we're using kosher here, and then fresh cracked black pepper. We are pepper people, so I added quite a decent amount. And then our shallot, aka yellow onion. And then we just are going to pour from the measuring cup into a jar so that we can shake up the dressing to emulsify everything together. Give it a nice quick shake. Okay, so then we'll work on preparing the actual lettuce greens. So endive was our substitution for frisee. I think that's how you say it because I couldn't find that anywhere. So the internet told me that Belgian endive could be a good substitute because it's crunchy and has a little bit of bitterness. I had to look up what to do with these. So here I just sliced them lengthwise and then used kind of a triangle cut to remove the core. And then we washed and dried the leaves. Okay, then just a rough chop to the endive so they're about bite-sized. And then we'll compile the salad. So it's the little gem lettuce, the microgreens, and then the chopped endives into a bowl of your choosing. And then we add the dressing. So nice, slow, sexy pour here. Overall, I think it turned out really well. It had a nice crunch, nice acidity, a little bit of bitterness, and we did end up adding a little bit extra salt and pepper, but I think that overall it's about a 4 out of 5. Okay, so the next thing we're making is ricotta with fried garlic. This recipe calls for extra virgin olive oil, hot honey, thyme, garlic, flaky salt, whole milk ricotta cheese, and a crunchy bread like sourdough. So the first thing we do is just prepare the bread. So we'll just slice the bread with our bread knife here into about maybe 1 inch thick. And then clearly we need to sharpen our bread knife. But we will slice these in half just to make them easier to handle, dip with, eat. And then we'll get them onto a parchment lined sheet pan, drizzle over some olive oil on both sides of the bread, and then rub in with a silicone brush. These will then go into a preheated 400-degree oven for about 5 to 7 minutes on each side, depending on how crunchy you want your bread. Then we have about 6 cloves of garlic that we're going to thinly slice as best as you can. This is not the easiest knife skill for me, but I did my best. Then we'll go into about 1/4 cup of olive oil over medium heat. The recipe calls for hot honey, but we needed to make our own, so we added some honey, which clearly we need to buy some more of, added in some crushed red pepper flakes, and then stirred up to make our homemade hot honey. You can just add however much you want depending on how spicy you want your honey to be. So we're going to cook the garlic chips over medium heat until they get golden brown. Then we'll add in our thyme and cook for about 1 minute until it's fragrant. Then we will pour over into a mesh strainer to separate out the garlic infused oil from the solids. And we'll put the garlic chips and thyme onto a paper towel lined plate and then top with flaky salt while it's still hot. Then you'll take your whole tub of ricotta, which is about 15 ounces, top with your garlic infused oil, your garlic chips and thyme, and then drizzle with hot honey. We did actually end up adding more oil out off camera and then kind of mixing it up just to make everything well incorporated so you got kind of an even amount on each bite with your bread. But here's the final product. We probably could have gotten the garlic a little bit crunchier, but overall really rich and unctuous, would make a really good starter to any kind of meal, maybe especially with pasta. Okay, our next recipe is Ziti alla Zozzona. You'll need grated Parmesan, egg yolk, salt, pepper, tubular pasta, garlic, tomatoes, tomato paste, guanciale, sausage, Calabrian chili, onion, and extra virgin olive oil. We actually could not find guanciale, so we're using pancetta instead. We're going to add just a little bit of olive oil into a cold Dutch oven with 4 ounces of pancetta and cook it until the fat renders and it becomes crispy. Then we'll take a slotted spoon and transfer the cooked pancetta to a plate. And then we will keep the drippings off to the side. Next, we will add 8 ounces of hot Italian pork sausage with the casings removed that have been broken into chunks. We'll cook that on medium-high heat until the pork is cooked through and caramelized. Then we'll use a slotted spoon to transfer that in with the pancetta. The recipe said to add a tablespoon of the reserved drippings from the pancetta, but I thought there was enough from the sausage, so I actually didn't. We're then going to add 1 chopped yellow onion with a little bit of salt and cook until translucent. We'll add 2 garlic cloves that have been minced and cook for about 30 seconds or until fragrant. Then we'll add 1/4 cup of tomato paste. We're going to cook the tomato paste in with the onions and garlic until it becomes deeper in color, caramelized, and is sticking to the pan. So this is about the midpoint. We want it a little bit darker than this. And then this is perfect. So we'll go ahead and add in our crushed whole tomatoes, 1 tablespoon of chopped Calabrian chilies, and then the reserved sausage and pancetta. We'll mix that up and simmer for about 45 minutes. Once it's about 10 minutes from being done, we'll boil pasta water, add about 2 tablespoons of salt, and then 1 pound of our pasta. We'll prepare our egg mixture, which is 4 egg yolks, 1/4 cup of grated Parmesan cheese, and ground black pepper to taste. Then we'll whisk this up until it becomes a homogeneous thick mixture. Then we'll add 1/4 cup of reserved pasta water and whisk quickly to not curdle the eggs. And we'll just continue to whisk this until it's all the way combined. The recipe specifically says to spoon in the pasta directly from the water into the sauce. I'm assuming this is to combine in some pasta water to help the sauce adhere to the pasta, but I'm not exactly confident in that. You can use a slotted spoon. We're using a spider here just because it's bigger to make it easier. We'll then stir up the pasta into the tomato sauce. Then we want to turn off the heat because we'll add our egg mixture. And then we're going to stir up the pasta until everything is emulsified and combined. Now it's time to plate. So we'll add a decent portion onto a plate and then we'll top with additional grated Parmesan and black pepper to taste. I'm very excited to eat this at this point because everything is looking and smelling delicious. Okay, so this is our finished product. I think it looks pretty similar to the picture other than the pasta shape. It was really good. It was everything you'd want out of a pasta: spicy, salty, creamy. The only thing I'll say is that if you're more sensitive to spice, you may want to consider cutting some of the Calabrian chili or the hot sausage, but I thought it was very delicious. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to see more recipes and future episodes.